Hello and good day. This is Austin Yang, your host on the Lagos Transportation Agenda, your foremost transportation show on television, where we highlight events, discuss issues, and explore evolving trends in the dynamic world of transportation. Health, they say, is wealth. And one of the agencies that has been at the forefront of ensuring holistic health and welfare of the citizens and residents of Lagos State is the Lagos State Health Management Agency, or LASHMA for short. Today we are looking at the intersection between transportation and health, in particular the implications of road use on commuters, on motorists, and even on pedestrians. And to discuss this and related issues with me on the show is the General Manager of the Lagos State Health Management Agency, in the person of Dr. Emmanuella Zamba. Welcome to the show, Madam.
Thank you very much for having me.
When we come back on the Lagos Transportation Agenda, Dr. Zamba will be launching into the role of LASHMA in ensuring the holistic health of Lagosians in general, and in particular the implications of road use on commuters, on motorists, and on pedestrians. When we return after this time out, please stay.
Great economies are built on good transportation network. This is why Lagos State Government through LAMATA has been working tirelessly to enhance the state's transport infrastructure and implement the Strategic Transport Master Plan (STMP) for Lagos and create a world-class transport network for the metropolis. The STMP would deliver 6 rail lines, 1 monorail, 14 BRT routes, 26 water transport routes, 3 cable car routes, and several road interventions to promote the integration of the transport modes. When all these projects are completed, there will be lower emission, leading to better health for all, lower road crashes, better quality of life, and faster economic growth. With the BRT already running in some corridors, jetties being upgraded, and rail line from Okokomaiko to CMS coming on board soon, life of Lagosians in the face of Lagos is changing every day. A healthier and more prosperous Lagos is in the making, and LAMATA is driving it. LAMATA, keeping Lagos moving.
Welcome back on the Lagos Transportation Agenda, and I have with me on the show Dr. Emmanuella Zamba, the General Manager of LASHMA, that is the Lagos State Health Management Agency. Dr. Zamba, you've been on this job for almost 3 years now, and let's look holistically at the mandate of your agency and your role in what you do.
Thank you for having me on the program. The agency's mandate essentially is to ensure that all residents of Lagos State, whether they are vulnerable or not, have access to qualitative and affordable healthcare in Lagos. That is, in short, that's what we are. So we are essentially the state's major universal health coverage initiative driver.
Okay.
And we are providing a social health insurance program for all Lagos residents to key into.
I see. So, okay. Our concern on the show, of course, is transportation. So, are there any side effects, if you like, to driving? Let's start with driving. Motorists. Are there any side effects? Not just driving in general, but driving in a particular way or for a particular period of time?
Yeah, so I mean, you could split that into maybe long distance drivers,
okay,
people that just commute, maybe to go to work and things like that. So if you just look at like our everyday driving, Things like, depending on whether the vehicle is yours, it's properly well positioned, you can end up with back problems, for instance, because of the traffic that we have in Lagos.
Yes.
You cannot run away from the stress, the noise pollution, the road rage from time to time when you have drivers that are not obeying the rules or trying to cut in or out. Those are things that can take a toll on you emotionally, and by extension also physically. We also encourage us to look at eyesight. As a driver, you cannot overemphasize the importance of at least having a yearly eye check to ensure that, you know, even if you wear glasses, you're still using the right prescription, or you haven't developed any eye anomalies of any kind, to ensure that at least you see road. Some people have issues with night driving, for instance, and if you have night driving issues, there are some supplements that you can take, but there's also some sort of glasses that you can get that helps you to reduce the glare when you're driving at night. But of course, if you don't visit your doctor to mention those kind of things, you will not have. With regards to the long distance drivers, what we found in Lagos is that they tend to abuse a lot of alcohol.
Yes.
They take a lot of stimulants, either to stay awake, you know, or give them a bit more energy and things like that. And those kind of things take a toll on your kidneys, on your liver, on your eyesight, you know. So of course there are physical things that, you know, ideally you should try to avoid as a long distance driver. So those are the things in a nutshell that affect drivers.
Okay, just to follow up on that, what makes drivers to maybe sleep on the wheel? I mean, there are some drivers that can drive long distance without sleeping on the wheel, and then there are those who would drive a relatively short distance and sleep on the. Is there some?
So I would start by talking about, if you have a baby and the baby's not sleeping at home, crying and all, if you put that child in a car and drive, and the drive is smooth and uninterrupted, the child tends to fall asleep. Okay. Some people are a bit more susceptible to falling asleep because you are driving. There's an effect that it has on your psyche, and so some people are. I, for instance, I'm prone to falling asleep. I sleep on my driver once the road is, I knock off and I don't open my eyes until I get to where I go. So the same thing with the driver. Yeah, so if you're not, you need to know yourself. Yes. You need to know yourself. If you're someone that either you have a lot of loud music playing, so it's keeping you awake. Yes, like that. But I mean, that's just I would call it a natural sort of phenomenon. Okay. There's also the issue with regards to stress. So you didn't sleep well, or you didn't sleep early. Yeah. I mean, nature will always take back.
You can't cheat nature.
You can't. So, you know, it is essential that if you're someone that drives someone, and that's your, you know, primary responsibility, that you get more than enough good night's rest. Yes. We prescribe 8 hours, but we know that living in Lagos, 8 hours is a bit of a tall order. But at least if you can give yourself like 6 hours, it's still, you know, something not too bad that you can aspire to. Okay.
Of course, road use is not just about motorists, but also commuters. And now it's very hard to imagine that commuters will also have, there could be health effects of commuting on those sort of people, let alone pedestrians. But you were the expert, so maybe you could throw more light.
For commuters, you kind of live vicariously through the person driving you. So if you're in a vehicle with a very bad or aggressive driver, by the time
conductor,
exactly, by the time you need to get off that vehicle, you are so stressed. Your blood pressure probably has even risen because of all the risks that person is taking. So you by extension, you are impacted by, you know, the type of driving of whoever is driving you. Then there's also the issue of, does the vehicle have good shocks? Yes. Are the roads good? So if you are being jiggled up and down and jumping into, that also constitutes, you can have a backache, you can have, you know, aches and pains at the end of the day. So those are the, indirectly, the way commuters are affected. Of course, if you're in traffic, you're frustrated, you need to get to your venue on time, and things like that. Those are things that would, you know, be driving your stress levels high, and they always have an impact on the body.
What about environmental factors? Do they play a role?
Noise pollution.
Yes.
Or you're driving in front of a vehicle that has
It's belching smoke.
Yes, those are things that are seriously hazardous to our health. But I do think that the agency responsible for environmental and noise pollution has been doing quite a bit in sensitizing and trying to control that menace, specifically the Lagos State Environmental Protection Agency.
Yes.
They've done quite a bit in that regard and continue to do so.
Okay, we also mentioned pedestrians. I mean, they seem to be the least impacted.
Some of them can be very daring.
Okay.
But I mean, the hazard of trying to cross the road when you should go and take the pedestrian bridge. I think my first encounter as a doctor, my first night of call when I first graduated was with a young man who was 25 or 23. It was Christmas night and he had crossed the road that around on Ikorodu Road. Okay. Instead of taking the pedestrian, he tried to dash across and he got hit. And that night, that boy was paralyzed for life. So, I mean, you can't overemphasize, putting yourself out there and risking your life and your future and that of your family just by not wanting to follow correct rules. Another thing I find that's really you need to do a little bit more work on is the zebra crossing.
Zebra crossing, yeah.
So you will hear a driver shout at you, "Are you a zebra? I thought it's only a zebra. I can't wait for you because you are not a zebra." I think there's a little bit we need. I don't know.
We tend to compete. Sometimes pedestrians tend to compete for space or right of way with moving vehicles.
So yeah, that I find is also a serious hazard, because if you are someone just coming from a more enlightened environment,
yes,
it just gets onto you because you think it's automatic and you just get swept off.
Exactly. All right, Dr. Zamba, thanks so much. But we will be discussing. We've talked of the solution. I mean, the problems. We've described a bit. We're going to be doing some prescription when we come back on the show on the Lagos Transportation Agenda. After this time out, please stay with us.
Driver tiredness and fatigue is a killer on our roads. Too many rollover crashes and head-on collisions are caused by drivers falling asleep behind the wheel. Signs of driver tiredness include struggling to keep the eyes open, yawning frequently, and slow reaction times. A tired driver may also wander across the centre line and drift across other lanes, over road markings, or follow other vehicles too closely and have trouble remembering the last few kilometres. Stop and rest before it is too late. There is no quick fix or miracle remedy. Our bodies simply need to rest. Most adults need a minimum of 6 hours of sleep per night. When we don't get enough sleep, our brain cells do not communicate effectively, which in turn affects our visual perception, physical reflexes, and memory.
If you're just joining, is the Lagos Transportation Agenda with Dr. Emmanuella Zamba, the General Manager of the Lagos State Health Management Agency. As I said, we are going to do some prescription on this section of the show, and let's see the problem. We have a driver or a commuter or a pedestrian who is already impacted. How do we mitigate the effect of this problem that we have, the health impact of road use? Again, I would like just to take from motorists, then to commuters, then to pedestrians.
Okay. So let's start with the motorists. It is essential that you get a checkup.
Okay.
So I would encourage that you join the health insurance program. you need to see your doctor. As I mentioned before, you need to have your eyes tested every year to be sure that you are driving with the correct prescription or that your eyes have not deteriorated. That's very important. You need to check your blood pressure because driving is stress related.
Yes.
You know, with traffic and all that, you need to have your so that if you now find out that you're hypertensive, you go frequently and get your fill-ups. If you are diabetic, because we've seen a lot of people slump in traffic and just die.
Suddenly,
you know, simply because maybe they were not aware that they had high blood pressure, or they slipped into like a diabetic sort of coma. You know, anything can happen. So you must make your checkups like your holy grail.
Yes.
As a motorist in Lagos, that's really important. With regards to the commuters, I would not overemphasize the issue of trying to always, I'm looking for the right word to use, be a bit more proactive in ensuring that you're not rushing out of the house. You wait until the last minute to now rush and you want to board and you want to get to somewhere, knowing that there is going to be traffic.
Yes.
Try to be a bit more timely, manage your time properly, so that you get to either to the bus stop or you get into your car at the right, into the vehicle at the right time, and you'll be able to manage your time and get to your venue without necessarily overstressing yourself. So that's really important. Another issue which might just seem like a little bit of a joke is to ensure you have your change, because before they tie you to somebody else and then both of you are one, that's another delay.
Exactly.
So try and always have small
can be upset by that.
Yes, that could be quite frustrating. Try and have some small change so that the conductor is not going to make you go that route. Of course, also having a yearly checkup for everybody, especially over the age of 40, is really important. Have yourself checked. With pedestrians, if you take the pedestrian bridge, you will not need to learn to train your legs to help you cross the road speedily. You would simply do it at your own pace.
Yes.
Just ensure that you obey the rules. You also, please, do your checkup. As I mentioned, this is universal to everybody, because there can be things latent in your body you will not know until you go into the facility. And when they catch something earlier, it guarantees your, longevity of life or quality of life, rather than them catching it late when you now have symptoms. For everybody, I'll just advise that sometimes when your body is telling you, I'm not okay, I'm feeling, don't ignore it.
Exactly.
Take the time to go and visit your doctor. You might just find out that there's something that can be nipped in the bud.
Okay, you mentioned the health, the environmental protection, the agency.
Yes.
There's always the tendency to always look at drivers, especially when they fall foul of the law, to look at their health status. I don't know what the mechanism is used to determine the health of drivers, especially when they fall foul. So my question would be, what synergy or what cooperation do you have with other agencies, especially when it comes to determining the health of people who use our roads in general, not just drivers?
Okay, so I will talk from intergovernmental.
Yes,
Then I'll
intergovernmental.
talk about the general public.
Yes.
So we are working with the Lagos State Drivers Institute, for instance, who train drivers. And we have asked for a slot there where people, when you come in, you can enroll onto the health insurance program. And part of what we do is to provide glasses. That is something that is available under this benefit package. You can have your eyes tested and you can get glasses. You can do your blood tests. They can check for hypertension, diabetes. You can get your medication. So we have that going with Lagos State Drivers Institute.
Okay.
Come on board. Then with the bus drivers, etc., like the Black Bus and Co., they have health insurance for their drivers.
All of them.
And part of what they are supposed to do, if you're hypertensive, please visit the facility, get your medication, make sure it's under control. And that's an ongoing partnership between ourselves and the employers of these drivers in Lagos State. With the environmental protection as well, we have a partnership working with them in terms of what ideally is as you mentioned, the correct health status for a driver. And one of the things that they look at also is like a psychological evaluation of that driver's
mental state and so on.
Yes. It is not everybody that is shredding clothes that has a mental health issue. Something could be latent there, so it could just be a pointer. And these people should be able to be screened for mental health.
Okay, before I let you go, any other information, because you were asking for your papers and all that, so any other information I've not covered?
Well, it's just to give information about what the Ilera Eco Health Program is all about. It is a benefit package that has been set up by Mr. Governor.
Okay.
If you come on board for a small sum of 8,500 per individual per year, or 40,000 for a family of 6, that is husband, wife, and 4 children under the age of 23 per year, you have access to a variety of services, from things that fever, headache, cough, to even more serious things that require admission. You can get admitted for up to 15 days under this program. You can get a blood transfusion if it's necessary. We treat emergency cases. For ladies, you can have your antenatal care. You can have your delivery, even if it is by surgery, it is free.
Okay.
If you're hypertensive, you're diabetic, you're asthmatic, you're a sickler, you have any of these chronic diseases, we do take care of you. You get your prescriptions filled, you come onto the scheme. As I mentioned before, we give glasses.
Yeah.
You can have dental procedures done. You can even have surgeries like appendectomy or herniorrhaphy also done under the program. You do blood tests, lab tests, ultrasound scan. You get your drugs, So, I mean, it is something that has been specially put together that provides care for about 85% of what you would normally walk into any facility for. And it's highly affordable. We even have an installmental plan. For people that can't afford to pay that amount at once, you can pay 1,000 every month and still have access to what the person on 85 has.
Wow.
If you can't pay the 40,000 for your family, you can pay 3,500 per month and still have access to the same. So, I mean, we've tried to make it as welcoming, accommodating, and affordable as possible for everybody.
Wonderful.
You can use either a public or a private facility, and you are guaranteed care. We have a contact center, so customer service is 24 hours. Any questions or queries, you get to us.
How do we get to that?
So we have a website.
Okay.
Lashma.com.
Lashma.com.
You can access us through there. You can even register yourself on the website.
Okay.
We have toll-free lines, 0800 Ilera Eco and 0800 Ask Lashma. You call us any time of the day. We will put you through what you need to do.
Wow.
We have a USSD code that you can use to register yourself. *6700*006#. Just type it and it will help you put yourself through to register yourself. We also have divisional offices across Lagos. With phone numbers, you can get all that just by simply calling in. It's toll free, as I said, and it'll give you all the information you need to be able to join the health insurance program.
All right, last question. You touched on the tips that we need to take. We are all drivers or commuters or pedestrians. We fall into either all three or one of them.
Exactly.
So we just talk to your people and just give them a general tip on what to do going forward to ensure their health while on the road.
Dear Lagos residents, we cannot overemphasize the need to ensure that we are healthy at all times. Regardless of whether you are a driver, you are a commuter, or you're a pedestrian, or all three in one, like some of us seated here, you need to take your health very seriously. And health insurance is here for you to pay a little bit to a side, so that when you do need health care, you will not have to worry about whether there's money in your pocket on that particular day to look after yourself and your family, so that you can have a quality life. You can even save some of that money to, buy a new car that you have been wishing to do for a while. So join the health insurance program. It is only for your advantage. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Zamba.
Thank you.
It's been quite enlightening. And thank you for staying with us on the Lagos Transportation Agenda. I hope you join me next week at this time on this channel for yet another interesting discourse on the program. Until then, this is Austin Iyan saying stay safe, take care of yourself and your loved ones. God bless. Bye-bye.